Hey guys, my name is Jarren and welcome to an episode of Eye on Design. This is one of my first episodes on the Class with Jarren channel. I hope you enjoy it. If you have any comments or anything that you think about during the video, feel free to leave it below in the comment section so that I can reply more. This is Class with Jarren, so I do hope that I can be educational and I want to be able to respond as much as possible. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So today on Eye on Design, we're going to be talking about a rebrand project that I just finished up, actually earlier today. It's the rebranding of the Keralis YouTube channel. And if you don't know Keralis, he plays video games. He has almost 2 million subscribers right now, and he's had the same brand design, logo, and everything for maybe as long as he's been doing it. It might be fan art, I'm not really sure. But regardless, he contacted me after he saw the Vintage Beef redesign, and he was interested in having me do some work for his channel, which I was happy to do and really excited to get started on. I really love rebranding projects. They're one of the most exciting things for me, honestly, because there's just so much creative freedom when it comes to it. Early in 2017, Keralis contacted me and we started talking, which was a very enjoyable process. He's a very relaxed guy, and we had some good conversations, and we talked about his brand and exactly where he wants to go. He was trying to move away a little bit from the Minecraft feel of his channel, and he was just trying to get a firm foundation for his channel to grow. So I took it upon myself to start designing a logo and building out an entire brand. Now I want to explain very clearly how I do that. In this situation, I asked him exactly what he was looking for, got as many parameters as I could. Now, most of the time, I have found that video game playing YouTubers are typically pretty chill people, so he didn't really have too many parameters. He just said really whatever you want to do, which honestly is one of the best things for me. Personally, I enjoy hearing that, but it also can be a little overwhelming sometimes, because then I'm concerned that maybe someone won't be satisfied with my work and I'll have to just keep picking and picking and picking. From the beginning, I try to ask some very, very detailed questions. What colors are you interested? What kind of feel? Do you want it to be happy, sad, aggressive? After I went through that process, I found out, okay, I feel like I have a general idea of exactly what he's looking for. Then I began working. What I did is I went first to pencil and paper. That's one of the best tools, at least I've found, for me to use. I'm most familiar with it. I've been drawing my entire life, at least doodling. It's a very free-flowing form for me. I definitely enjoy that a lot. So after he and I talked, we had decided on doing something with a cap. He typically wears a hat in real life, so we wanted to make his character representative of that rather than an old Minecraft skin or something that he wasn't really using anymore. So on my pencil and paper, I started doodling a lot of hats. Now, one of the difficulties about hats is that it's tough to tell in a 2D space what that hat looks like. And that's why 3D modeling became a pretty big priority in this project, because I wanted to make sure that this hat would at least look 3D. So after doodling around on a couple different pages, I had decided on a pretty firm direction of what I was interested in, which ended up being this design right here. I contacted Keralis and said, hey, what do you think? And he said, dude, I like it, let's go. I ended up bringing that into Illustrator, and I started quickly just going over it with a very rough outline. One of the things I really enjoy about pencil and paper is that I can capture a very natural feeling. Once I bring it into Illustrator, it starts becoming very rigid and symmetrical, which I like a lot, but it can be restricting sometimes. So I tried to take that very natural feel for each line, and then what I did is, once I was happy with a design, I started taking everything and making it symmetrical, making it very straight and linear. And I realized that, hey, this would probably be a very good low poly design. So once I had my 2D design set up, after I went through countless iterations just in Illustrator, I ended up saying, okay, you know, I really am gonna have to do this in 3D. It's just not gonna look right in 2D. So I took my side view and my front view, and I brought everything into Blender. Once I was in Blender, I set everything up so that I could just go through and shape my character. And as I was shaping it, I was building it out and trying to get a feel for exactly what it would look like, testing out renders and lighting. One of the things I really love about 3D modeling is that I can use accurate lighting, or at least really close to accurate lighting. And that's just very exciting for me, because lighting is just something that really differentiates some work to what I feel comes off as a polished piece of work. 3D lighting, once it's cooked in and has that animation just so soft that feeling is just something that you don't really obtain from many other sources aside for actual film, actual camera, cinematography. That's where you get shadows. So going into animation and having that 3D effect really just feels good. Once I had the character design and all set up with the lighting, I went through and shaped out the background and exactly what I wanted it to be framed as with the camera. Then I exported a couple of different images, one that I would use for my header image and one that I would use for the profile picture. I then went into Photoshop and started transferring around exactly what I wanted the full size to be, where I wanted everything to be located in the image. If you know, on YouTube, when you upload a header image, it asks you to upload an enormous image that would make sense on a TV, but it doesn't make sense for anyone else because you really have to crop in there pretty sharp. So there's not a lot of room when it comes down to putting everything in so that it fits in the scene. After I'd designed those two, I went back in and began animating. I initially took my 3D model and brought it into After Effects, and then I started using Element 3D to model everything out, but which I prefer to do. I really enjoy that way, but unfortunately, the lighting in After Effects with Element 3D just doesn't have the same feeling. It doesn't really cast shadows very well. So I really felt like I was limited in that. I ended up backtracking and staying in Blender. And I started using the Blender animation to start really getting a feel of, here's what I want to happen in the scene, here's where I want everything to go, and here's where I want it to end. Now, since this is a pretty basic intro, it's something that's meant to be short and sweet, I really just had the character bounce down into the scene, and then everything faded out in the end. I found that worked very well for presentation, and it also worked well for my animation, which is something I really needed to be considerate of. There are a lot of other things that I could have done, but I also needed to remember that I needed to make it time efficient as well. I couldn't spend months and months on a project like this. Now, while lighting is really important in animation, one of the more important pieces, that's right, significantly more important pieces, is motion and timing. You really need to get a feel for something that feels natural. When you push something in real life and it falls naturally. If you have something that you push off of a table and it just chunks out, it looks really weird. And you really don't want that kind of animation style unless you're going for something like Wreck-It Ralph. You know, they had a couple weird animation styles in there when the characters kind of chopped back and forth, which made sense for that platform. That's not what I was looking for here though. So what I did is I actually recorded my hand, and I recorded my hand going up and down, just like a bouncy kind of effect. And that's the kind of effect that I exactly wanted for this animation. I used it as reference then and counted each frame and counted reasonably how far it went down and how far it went up. And each time I went through and into Blender and then I traced around that and messed around with it a lot more. It took countless hours, but eventually I got to a point where it was a very, very fluid animation that just felt natural. And that's the exact feeling that I was going for. After I rendered out everything into PNG images, I imported everything into Premiere Pro so that I could get everything timed correctly. And then after that, I converted it to an After Effects composition, and I used After Effects to put a couple of other effects on it. I moved one object across the scene, and during that time, the scene background was rendered and removed in Blender. So it really goes to a transparent fade over the video, so you can actually see through the scene. After I rendered everything out in After Effects, I kept everything as a transparent image and I compiled it all together and sent it off to the printers. Well, actually before that, if we backtrack a little bit, before I even started animating, I actually went in and designed the music. Now this is a completely different project. This is nothing that's really graphical intensive. I opened up Ableton Live and I started with a fresh slate. One of the things I really enjoy is just taking the feeling of what I'm imagining and starting to present it via music. It needed to be short and sweet, it needed to not be completely upfront right away, and it also really needed to move in with the music. Now, one of the great things that I had the opportunity to do was time the music with the video. So the drums almost match up with the bouncing of the character, which I was really happy about. And it's just a very, very short 10-second clip with a fade in and a fade out. So once compiled with that video, it ended up, I would say, looking like a really good product. With that all said and done, I sent everything off to Keralis, and thankfully, he liked it a lot. I enjoyed it as well, and the process was really fun to go through. I hope you enjoyed the process as well. Now, if you have any questions, remember, this is Class with Jarren, so feel free to comment below if you have any questions about any steps through this process. I'd be happy to help you through it. All right, and that's been it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll be sure to see you guys next time. Hey guys, it's Jarren again. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to leave a like and also subscribe. And if you haven't, you should click the little bell icon next to the subscribe button. That'll set you notifications to exactly when I upload my videos, so you can be right on time. On top of that, I also send out a monthly newsletter, and you should definitely sign up for that on my website. If you do, I'll be sending a lot of exclusive content there, things that you won't see via YouTube or anything else. A lot of times I give away some of my work for free, so if you're interested in checking out any of the behind-the-scenes content or rare exclusive items, some sneak peeks to games that I'm working on, etc., you should definitely check that out. And of course, all my social network options are down below, so if you're interested in following me on different platforms, be sure to. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time.